Welcome to Georgia Highlands College Math 97 and Math 99 tutorial videos. In this video segment, we'll be answering the question, can I divide terms out of a rational expression? And the answer is no. You never divide terms, you only divide factors. Terms are products that are added and subtracted, so they have pluses and minuses between them. And we know that inverse operations are addition and subtraction. Factors are multiplied, so those are the ones that you can divide out because we have the inverse operations of multiplication and division. Now let's take a look at an example where you might be tempted to divide out terms. All right, so we have the example of x squared plus 6x plus 5 divided by x squared plus 25. Before we get started on simplifying this rational expression, we want to make sure that we figure out what the excluded values are. And if you're not sure what excluded values are, you can go back and watch the video on excluded values. But to find the excluded values, we simply set the denominator equal to 0 to figure out when that denominator will equal 0. All right, so you may notice that the binomial on the left-hand side of that equation is a difference of squares. So this left-hand side can be factored as x plus 5 times x minus 5 equals 0. Now we're ready to apply the zero product principle. X plus 5 equals 0. X minus 5 equals 0. We're going to subtract 5 from both sides. Add 5 to both sides here, and we get x is negative 5 and x is 5. So these are excluded values, meaning these are values that you cannot plug into this rational expression because it will create 0 in the denominator. But let's go ahead and proceed with simplifying this rational expression and showing the situation where you might be tempted to divide terms. So, the first step in simplifying a rational expression is to factor the numerator and the denominator. Well, we already know that the denominator is factored as x plus 5 times x minus 5. And the numerator factors as x plus 5 times x plus 1. And if you're unsure how I factored that numerator, you can go back and watch the videos on factoring trinomials. All right, and according to our last video on simplifying rational expressions, we can use the fundamental principle of rational expressions and divide out the common factors of x plus 5 and x plus 5. And we're left with x plus 1 divided by x minus 5. Now you may be saying to yourself, that's simple enough. However, I've seen on many occasions students feel like they should be able to simplify it even further by saying, oh, well, I have an x divided by an x there. And that is not correct. You cannot divide terms. The x and the 1 in the numerator are being added. The only thing you could do with that would be able to subtract one of those values, and that would solely happen in the numerator. Same thing with the denominator between the x and the negative 5. These are terms. You add and subtract or combine terms. You divide factors. This entire numerator is a factor, and this entire denominator is a factor. We can see this by looking back at the last step and seeing that that entire thing was multiplied by the x plus 5 that we divided out. So I just wanted to point out this common question that I get from students in, can I divide those x's out? No, you cannot. And x plus 1 divided by x minus 5 is the final simplified form of x squared plus 6x plus 5 divided by x squared minus 25. I hope that this has been helpful for you to understand that you never divide terms, you only divide factors. So don't be tempted to cross through those x's if they're not actually factors, but rather terms. If you have any other questions about simplifying rational expressions, make sure to contact your Highlands instructor. Thank you.